Caicedo, Fernandes, and Palmer. How Xabi Alonso could build his dream midfield. Welcome to Chelsea FC Daily. Hello, Chelsea family. Welcome back to Chelsea FC Daily, the channel you can always trust for the latest and most accurate Chelsea news. If you want facts, not rumors, you are in the right place. We read the reports, we check the details, and we bring them to you in simple words that everyone can understand. Today we are doing something a little different. Instead of transfer news, we are looking closely at tactics. How might Xabi Alonso actually use his best midfielders this season? To be clear before we start, this section is our own analysis and reading of Alonso's known style as a coach, not a report of things he has said in public. We are simply looking at the tools he has at Chelsea and asking a fun question. If Alonso builds his midfield around Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Cole Palmer, what could that actually look like on the pitch? Have you ever wondered how a top coach turns three very different players into one smooth working unit? That is exactly what we are exploring today. Let us get into it. The big midfield puzzle. When Alonso arrived at Chelsea, he inherited a squad that had looked a little disjointed in recent seasons. Different managers had come and gone, and the team never quite settled into one clear way of playing. Right in the middle of that puzzle sit two of Chelsea's most important players, Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Both players are clearly talented, but talent alone does not always translate into a smooth partnership. Each player has real strengths, and each player also has areas where they can be exposed if used the wrong way. The big question for Alonso is simple. How do you get the very best out of both players at the same time, without either one covering for the other's weaknesses in a way that drains the team? This is where good coaching becomes so important. A smart manager does not just pick his best players and hope things click. He builds a system that hides weaknesses and puts each player in the best possible position to shine. Understanding Enzo Fernandez. Let us start with Enzo Fernandez. On the ball, few midfielders in the Premier League can match his range of passing and his ability to see a pass before anyone else does. He can slow the game down, control tempo, and pick out a teammate 40 yards away with a single pass. However, there is a common weakness that has shown up in his game before. When possession is lost and the game suddenly turns into a scramble, Fernandez does not always have the pure recovery speed to get back and cover ground quickly. In past seasons, this has sometimes dragged him into wide areas, sprinting backward to make up for lost positioning and getting bypassed by quicker opponents. So how could Alonso solve this? The likely answer is simple. Do not ask Fernandez to be the one chasing back and covering every gap. Instead, ask him to stay disciplined in a central position during build-up play. Rather than relying on speed to fix problems after they happen, his job becomes about using smart positioning to stop those problems from happening in the first place. Cutting off passing lanes before the opponent even has a chance to break forward. In other words, use his brain and his positioning as the shield, not his legs. Understanding Moises Caicedo. Now let us look at Caicedo. His physical numbers are outstanding. Few midfielders in the league can cover as much ground as he does, and his energy in pressing and closing down opponents is a huge asset for any team. But here is an interesting point. When Caicedo has been asked to be the main creative force in a team, the one responsible for starting attacks from deep, his passing under pressure can sometimes become rushed. He can try to force the ball into tight spaces where a turnover becomes costly, especially in dangerous areas of the pitch. So what is the fix here? Rather than making Caicedo the main playmaker, Alonso is likely to use him differently. Instead of asking him to orchestrate attacks, his role becomes more about protection. Winning the ball back, covering ground, and acting as the safety net behind a more progressive passer. Simple, effective, low-risk actions rather than complicated creative passing. Building the partnership. When you put these two roles together, something interesting happens. Caicedo becomes the physical enforcer of the pair, winning the ball, covering transitions, and shielding the defense. Fernandez becomes the calm dictator of tempo, staying central, breaking lines with his passing, and controlling the rhythm of the game. Picture it like this. Chelsea's defenders and goalkeepers circulate the ball, drawing the opposition into a high press. Fernandez drops slightly deeper, almost level with the center backs, acting as a kind of bait for the opposition's press. As an opponent rushes toward him, Fernandez stays calm, uses a quick layoff, and draws the press completely out of position. Then, with the opposition suddenly stretched, he receives the ball again and picks out a long diagonal pass into space for a wingback or attacker to run onto. Meanwhile, if possession is lost higher up the pitch, this is where Caicedo becomes so valuable. Instead of dropping all the way back, he can step into the half spaces and press aggressively the moment an opponent tries to turn with the ball. Rather than trying anything complicated once he wins it back, a simple short pass to Fernandes keeps things moving smoothly and safely. When this works well, you get a midfield where one player provides physical security and ball winning, while the other provides vision, rhythm, and progressive passing. Neither player is being asked to do a job that exposes their weakness. Instead, each one is playing almost entirely to their strengths. Where does Cole Palmer fit in? Of course, no midfield picture at Chelsea is complete without asking where Cole Palmer fits into all of this. Palmer's best qualities show up in the pockets of space between the opposition's midfield and defensive lines. He is at his most dangerous when he can turn quickly, drive at defenders, or slide a clever pass through to a striker. If Fernandes is controlling tempo from deep and Caicedo is winning the ball and offering simple support, that gives Palmer the platform he needs. With defensive security behind him, Palmer can push higher and focus purely on his attacking instincts. A sharp pass from Fernandes through the lines could easily find Palmer in one of those pockets, allowing him to turn and either shoot, create, or bring other attackers into the play. In simple terms, if this partnership works the way we expect, the pattern could look something like this. Caicedo wins it. Fernandes dictates it. Palmer finishes it. Why this matters for Chelsea's season? Why is this kind of analysis so important? Because midfield control often decides matches at the highest level. A team that dominates the middle of the pitch usually controls the game, even if they do not always dominate possession numbers. If Alonso really can get the best out of both Caicedo and Fernandes at the same time, while giving Palmer the platform to attack freely, Chelsea could have one of the strongest midfields in the Premier League this season. It also shows something important about smart coaching. Sometimes the answer is not simply buying a new player to fix a problem. Sometimes the answer is looking closely at the players already at the club and finding a system that hides their weaknesses while showing off their strengths. If Alonso can do that with Caicedo and Fernandes, it would be a big win for Chelsea, without needing to spend a single extra pound in the transfer market. A question for you. So here is a question for you as a Chelsea fan. Do you think this kind of setup could really work in the Premier League? Could Fernandes really thrive by staying more central and disciplined rather than chasing the game everywhere? Could Caicedo settle into more of a supporting ball-winning role rather than trying to do everything himself? Every fan has their own opinion on how these two should be used, and that is part of what makes football so exciting to talk about. Nobody knows for certain exactly how Alonso will set his team up until we see it play out on the pitch. But based on his known style and past record as a coach, this kind of balanced partnership feels like a very realistic path forward. Final thoughts. So to sum things up, Chelsea have two outstanding midfielders in Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, each with clear strengths and clear areas that need protecting. A smart coach like Xabi Alonso is likely to build a system that plays to those strengths, using Caicedo as the physical shield and ball winner, and Fernandes as the calm, deep-lying dictator of tempo and passing. With that platform in place, a player like Cole Palmer could be given the freedom to focus purely on creating and finishing in the final third. This is just our own reading of the situation, based on the tools Alonso has at his disposal and his known coaching style. Only time will tell exactly how things unfold once the season gets underway. But one thing feels certain. If this partnership clicks the way it could, Chelsea's midfield might become one of the most talked about parts of the team this season. What do you think? Do you agree with this reading of how Alonso could use his midfield, or do you see things playing out differently? Let us know your thoughts because we always love hearing from true Chelsea fans like you. Thank you for reading this update from Chelsea FC Daily. We will keep breaking down every part of this exciting new project under Xabi Alonso, always in the simplest way possible so every fan can follow along. Make sure you stay close to this channel because we will always bring you honest, clear analysis before anyone else does. Until next time, stay blue, stay loyal, and we will see you again very soon with more Chelsea content you can trust.